franchise history to have back-to-back games with 41 points.
If I want to make my spot among the greats, I got to try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
To be able to live up to it and actually be more than you ever thought he could be this early in his career, it's really scary to think ultimately what his ceiling could be. He's so young, he's already added so much, but there's still a lot more there for him to grab.
Earlier in the week, we talked about him putting up 41, or he put up 41 and 18, last night in a win over the Golden State Warriors. And Wemby and the Spurs, you guys, are on an absolute heater. They are playing so well right now. They have won 10 straight they've won 10 straight overall and 15 consecutive games in which Victor Wembanyama has appeared. And during that streak, these are the numbers that Wemby is putting up. 27.9 points and 12.3 rebounds. We know what an incredible defensive force is. The only problem, guys, is that SGA is also keeping pace. SGA is also putting up incredible numbers, the defending MVP down the stretch. Oklahoma City's won 15 of its past 16 games, and SGA eclipsed 40 points 3 times in the past 2 weeks. But, Freddie, let's start with you. As the NBA season is winding down, how impressed are you with what Victor Wembanyama is doing, and do you think that he's the MVP?
It's getting to the point that we're running out of words and adjectives to describe what he's been able to do at both ends of the floor. But the most important thing to me that Victor Wembanyama has been able to do, he's embraced the moment of being that guy, or being one of the guys, not just on his basketball team, but in the NBA. He knows each and every team and each and every player is coming after him each and every night. And I go back to when they played against the Detroit Pistons. HD and I were doing the show the day after that, and I said, those bad boys thought they were going to punk Mr. Wembanyama. They thought they were going to get the best of him. There was going to be a wee. And he wee-weed all over them. What he's able to do by getting back up time and time again, saying, I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not that one. I thought that was a meat cleaver moment, that you can talk about San Antonio before that moment and San Antonio after that moment, because I thought everybody, Michelle and HD, everybody in that organization said, oh, he is ready for this. He wants this. Bring the steam. He's going to steam back at you. I thought the minute that he was able to get back up time and time again to lead them to victory against a more physical team, that's when things really shifted about the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama being that legit in terms of being an MVP and definitely being a championship team.
Freddie, you know what's big for me is the mentality that he steps out on the court with every single night. And it doesn't matter if they're playing against the Chicago Bulls or the Golden State Warriors or the Oklahoma City Thunder. The mindset is the exact same, and we've seen that back-to-back 40-point games, 40-plus and 15-plus rebounds, to be exact. He is going to set the tone every single time he's on the floor. We've seen it within the All-Star game. We were all wondering, headed into the All-Star game this year, what was it going to be like? Are the players going to take it serious? Well, guess what? Victor Wembanyama set the tone. And we've seen a better All-Star game than what we've seen in the past over I would say, the last 5 or 6 years. But when you have a guy, Freddie, that can play with his back to the basket on the offensive end, face up, shoot the three, dribble, and have guard skills, and I like how last night he just didn't force the jump shot. He knew that the Golden State Warriors were lacking bigs, right? So what did he do? He scored a lot of his points in the paint. He altered shots on the defensive end. We heard him say recently about, the MVP award and how, defense is 50% of the game. Draymond Green had something to say about it as well. Whenever you have a guy that can anchor your team, and a lot of people are going to look at them and say, man, they're so young. But let's also not gloss over the fact that they do have a Harrison Barnes who has playoff experience. They have a Luke Cornett who won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. De'Aaron Fox, even though it was a very short stint in the playoffs, he has that playoff experience as well. Not deep, but he has it. You can't overlook that. And I think this is a group who is very, very deep. Look at their bench. You got Harrison Barnes coming off the bench. You have Keldon Johnson coming off the bench. Dylan Harper coming off the bench. All these guys playing a pivotal role, but have that belief in themselves. But Victor Wembanyama anchors the charge in San Antonio, and because he's that wild card and something we've never seen before with our eyes, I don't look at them being a young team entering the playoffs because of Victor Wembanyama and his mindset every single time he steps out on the floor.
And Smalls and HD, they had 7 guys that scored their double figures last night. 4 starters and 3 guys off the bench. Although I want to give Pat Spencer a condemnation. Dude, you're not 7'6". What made you think that you could possess any kind of ability to say, I'm going to post up Victor Wembanyama, I'm going to get into the lane, and I'm going to make this floater over him? That's DOI to the 25th power. Definition of insanity. You got to know exactly who you is and who you ain't.
KYP, right, Freddie?
Absolutely. No, in this
Know
case,
your personnel.
Well, in this
That's
case
right,
with Pat
KYP.
Spencer, know your Pat. And know your Pat didn't know what that Pat was. He thought he was playing in the backyard against his brother Cam when he's to dominate in front of their mom and dad. And then he looked up and then the whole arena disappeared. Word of advice, if you're in the lane and Victor Wembanyama's guarding you, pass the ball to somebody else instead of screen. That is not going to end well. Ask Pat Spencer about that from Golden State last night.
Well, Harry talked about Wemby's mentality. We know a couple weeks ago in his post-game presser, he made the case for why he should be the MVP. He really emphasized his defense and everything he does to impact the game and provide value to his team. He talked about this again last night about why he wants to win the MVP and why it matters so much to him.
How important is that to you eventually, whether it's now or somewhere down the road, to be recognized as the best player in this league?
Oh yeah, I do care deeply about it, and I think that all the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame or that are in our mind the best of all time, they have fought and grabbed everything they could grab early on in their career. If I want to make my spot among the greats, I gotta try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
You guys, Wemby is so refreshing. He's essentially an Altoid. There's just nothing about this guy that I don't find fresh and wonderful. Truly, everything from him living up to the hype that surrounded him when he came in this league, because, a lot of players we hear about that, especially immediately upon their arrival, don't live up to the billing. He lived up to it and then some. Physically, he's unlike anything we've ever seen. That's refreshing. I love that he is so vocal about wanting to be great. Because sometimes people shy away from that. I don't want to compare myself to anybody. This is not me disregarding Shea, but he's like, I'm just going to let my game speak for myself. Everyone has different approaches. But I love that Victor Wembanyama is like, no, I want to be one of the all-time greats, and being an MVP is part of that. And I want to make sure.
It matters to him, Small.
It matters to him.
It matters to him. And as a fan watching from afar, I can appreciate that. I'm pretty sure you can. Freddie Coleman can appreciate that, because how many times have we talked about, man, do these guys take it serious?
Yep.
Do they want to play every single night?
Do they want to play defense?
It's Victor Wembanyama does.
Yes, he does.
And that's why I don't mind. I'm always trying to figure out, hey, when are the Spurs playing? So I can turn the channel and I can watch them. Because I know it's going to be something unbelievable, but I know he's going to give his all every single time he steps out on the court. That's the passion that you have to have for this game. It's also the passion that you have to be one of the game's greatest, and he has that.
One thing that, and HD will back me up on this, I think HD was about 2 or 3 weeks ago on our show, I said, this is why Victor Wembanyama is different. We've never had a foreign player talk like this. Any foreign player that's played in the NBA, they've kind of taken a step back. They don't want to put themselves out there. Nikola Jokic, for the longest time, people were begging for people to see his personality. He resisted until the last couple of years. Victor Wembanyama embraced that early. He said, I know I'm a personality in this league. I got great personality. I'm not just going to let that sit still. I'm not going to suppress that. I'm going to let that come out. And this is a part of that. He does not mind speaking up for his team. He does not mind letting everybody know, I'm that dude. I should be the dude, the leader of the MVP race. We have not had a foreign player do this in the NBA to this level ever until Victor Wembanyama decided to, hey, I'm not going to be in my shell anymore. I know what I believe in. I'm going to let everybody know exactly how much belief I have in it. Now, that works for him. It may not work for SGA, but the fact that SGA said, hey, I'll let my game do the talking, don't think for 1 second. That has not gotten his attention, that Victor Wembanyama saying, I'm here. We don't have to deal with you. You're going to have to deal with us in San Antonio.
Well, we talk about Wemby wanting to be amongst the all-time greats. Statistically, he is on certain marks. So we mentioned that the Spurs have won 10 straight overall, 15 consecutive games when Wemby appeared. And during that streak, Wemby averaged 27.9 points, 12.3 rebounds. Included in this stretch, guys, is 5 straight games of at least 15 rebounds. That's the longest run by a Spurs player since Dennis Rodman in '95, passing Tim Duncan and David Robinson's career best 4-game streaks of 15 or more rebounds.
I'm blessed. I'm honored. No, just think about how many times the game's greats in whatever sport we may have taken for granted, not just players but also coaches. Folks, embrace that you're living through a time where you can witness this every time the San Antonio Spurs play. And here's the catcher to it all too. He's so young. So young. We have a lot more to witness when it comes to Victor Wembanyama, and I don't think he's nowhere near his peak. And that's the scary part for the NBA. That's the great part, I think, for all of us as fans as well. I don't think he has literally scratched the surface yet. There's so much more to his game and so much more to his arsenal that I think he can add to it. It's only going to get better and better. But embrace it right now while we're sitting here watching it every single time he steps out on the court.
There's always that baton that gets passed, right? Whether it's from Michael, Kobe, LeBron, it feels like Wemby is right there, that he's ready to grab the baton and run with it. It is Unsportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio alongside Harry Douglas and Freddie Coleman. I'm Michelle Smallman. And coming up next, Wemby put up 41 in another dazzling performance. We just gave you all of that breakdown.